want to bring in Sparsha Saha. She has a PhD and an MA from the Department of Government at Harvard University and is also a lecturer in the Department of Government. And you have your dissertation is on severe protest policing violence in Iran since 1979. But you've recently been part of a study that came out in August of 2020, which talked about the perceptions we have about women, like we saw last night with the vice presidential candidate Kamala Harris, when they are ambitious and strong. And what you've learned is counter to what the urban legends might be. Tell us more about this and what you thought of last night's debate.
Sure. Thank you so much for having me on. Heading into the debate, I was a little concerned that Harris's aggressiveness might get her some backlash, right? And so we know from research that women, when they do show these sorts of traits of being very firm or aggressive or assertive, tend to be seen as, going against these norms of feminine niceness. And so the VP's role really is very much kind of like the attack dog, particularly in these kinds of debates. And so I was wondering, okay, what would be kind of the impression? How would she be perceived? Since she certainly went on the attack in the debate. And I was very pleased to see that really that didn't seem to be a problem for her. I haven't really seen much of that in the way of criticism. And I think actually it went down really well and people responded nicely to it, which I think just sort of adds further evidence to what scholars have been increasingly seeing, which is that norms are shifting, not just about people sort of okayness with having a woman leader, but also gender norms regarding women being seen as more warm and that's how you're supposed to be. And instead, people are more receptive to seeing women as leaders being competent and firm. So that was encouraging.
Sparsha, it's definitely encouraging. It's Julie here. It's good to see you. What about when she's undoubtedly a woman leader, but Joe Biden is still going to be her boss, right? So I'm curious about what research has shown, if anything, about that sort of dynamic when, is there a risk of overshadowing, for example?
Yeah, this isn't, I think, solely a problem that we're kind of coming up with now. Even, female leaders who were in Obama's cabinet kind of talked about strategies that they were using to make sure that they were getting credit when sort of credit is due. And I think that can be something that oftentimes in workplace environments where women are used to either taking a secondary role or being overshadowed or being interrupted, that can be tough to sort of be in the limelight and actually enjoy it, which I think she was clearly enjoying. And that was also nice to see. So the women in the Obama cabinet talked about strategies where they would help each other. So if a woman, the one person said something, the other person would actually say, "This was a great idea that so and so brought up." And so I think that is one way in which women in workplaces like this, with a male boss in particular, can really work with each other to make sure that they're getting what they deserve in terms of credit for good ideas and good suggestions.
Hey, Sparsha, Brian Chung here. Now, broadly speaking, how important is specifically the vice presidential debate? It seemed like there were a number of people yesterday who were saying, I'm not even tuned into this because it's not important. They're not the big dogs in the House. But when we talk about this specific election, there was a discussion about what would happen if either next president was incapacitated, a little bit of a fatalistic view. But does that make this type of debate more important, especially when you consider that the current candidate on the Democratic side is a former vice president himself?
Yeah, in general, I think what we know is that, the VP debate doesn't really matter that much, but I think times are different. And for me, sort of overall, what I sort of walked away with was it was great to kind of just see a professional debate, right, with two qualified politicians. And what we saw last week was, frankly, I think for many people a bit scary. And so I think this debate reminded us all that, there is a reason why being a politician is a job, and that requires experience and preparation. And both Pence and Harris were incredibly professional, incredibly prepared. I thought the rate of personal attacks was kept really low. Really, the focus was on issues, even when the attacks were being made. And so, to me, it didn't feel inauthentic anymore in a way that may have seemed like in the past. And I sort of, I felt like this is how it should be, right? And I think a lot of Americans might have walked away with that same feeling. And we know public trust in institutions and government is at an all-time low. And so I think we all needed to see this last night because it was so normal. And maybe that was why it was so important.
So as we wrap up, I want to come back to that study that you co-authored in August. And this is a quote from the study. Our research is part of a line of recent studies which suggest that voter discrimination is not the cause of women's underrepresentation in advanced democracies. What are the implications then for candidate Harris?
I think that this ties into, right, the norm shifting. I think that she can really lean into doing what she does best, which is she's an attorney general and she was a prosecutor. And so she can be firm and assertive and not, I think, not be worried about how people are going to perceive that and whether it will be perceived negatively in which, and it has for women in the past. I don't know if that's the case anymore. I do hope, however, that her advisors, that party gatekeepers are also aware of this trend, that people really want to see a firm female leader and they kind of just let her do her thing.
Sparsha Saha is Harvard University lecturer in the Department of Government. We appreciate your being here for analysis on last night's debate.
Hey investors, Zach Guzman here. Are you interested in learning more about the markets and getting the latest financial news? Well, then click right here to subscribe to our Yahoo Finance YouTube channel. Get the latest up-to-the-minute market analysis, big interviews in the world of finance, and information on how to manage your money every day wherever you are.